I'm going to be talking about a field experiment that I recently ran and I recently sort of analyzed data on. The purpose was to reduce public employee absence, primarily in rural primary clinics in Pakistan. This is a picture of a rural clinic in Pakistan. So what's the problem here? A Journal of Economic Perspectives article shows that absence in these sorts of facilities lies between 35 and 40%. So if you were a citizen and go up to a clinic for a regular checkup, and these are like really the first stop shop for most of these rural communities, 35% of the time there won't be anybody there. So the punchline is coming. So we conduct the experiment in Punjab, Pakistan, which is a province roughly half the size of Germany and 1/3 the size of the US in terms of population, so about 100 million people. And here we find 2 in 3 doctors were absent. So if you go to a clinic, there's only a 33% chance of you actually finding a doctor there. So this is a very big problem as far as service delivery is concerned. All right, so in terms of management, what's the problem? These are 33% of all basic health units or rural clinics in Punjab. These are fairly widely spread out, and the management is done quite centrally. Because of this, you have limited information. There are inspectors who are supposed to go to each clinic at a random point in time and get back to the administrator, the administrators, the data that is required for running these places. Now, because the facilities are spread throughout this huge area, the data take like 2 to 3 months to collect from paper to charts, which are made in Excel and which are horrible. So what did we do? We gave an Android smartphone to each inspector. Each polygon in this map reflects the catchment area of one inspector. We gave smartphones to half of them. We randomly allocated the smartphones so that we could examine what the impact of these smartphones were. So it was the cool part was that we were leveraging an existing monitoring network, collecting the same data that was being collected on paper forms, but now this was collected in apps, in an Android app that we created ourselves. The data were presented to senior bureaucrats who were making decisions in fancy charts that were helpful for them, in tables where poorly performing facilities were highlighted for them, and in maps so that they could also get a spatial sense of how the data, how absence is distributed spatially. And the cool part was everybody had to take a picture of everybody that they marked present, including themselves. So these are the inspectors. They would take a picture of all the staff that they marked present, including themselves. The picture would get geotagged and timestamped. Suddenly, the paper reports are not being filled in their offices anymore. Now the people actually have to go out and fill out the report. So your information suddenly becomes way more credible. What did we find? Inspections went up by 95%. Doctor presence went up by up to 35%. So then this is the upper bound on the increase in absence. There were areas where there were no impact. Why? And this is where the political science department comes in. High absence exists because of some political economy reasons, the existence of political machines, and we found evidence of this. So think Tammany Hall for all the New York City residents. And the whole thing cost $20,000. That's it. Including the 100 phones, including the design of the app, including the training, everything. So I think it's very replicable. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to design a call center-based Yelp system for livestock artificial inseminators. And since I have a minute, I'm going to talk a bit about this. So what's the problem here? The artificial inseminators deliver a service. They artificially inseminate the cows, and they charge a fee up front. But there's no way to actually observe how much of, if the service that they provide is actually resulted in the impregnation of the cow, which happens 3 months later. So what we're going to do is we're going to do like a rating system for these artificial inseminators. We're going to call back the farmers 3 months later and say, did the service that you get from these artificial inseminators result in the cow being impregnated? And then we get a percentage of success for each artificial inseminator. And then we give that information out to the farmers and see what happens. We've just conducted the baseline survey for this, and maybe in a year I'll report back what happened. Thanks.